Dear beloved audience, welcome back to the channel. It's a pleasure to continue accompanying you on the emotional journey of James and Tu Diep's love story. In the previous episode, on her solitary way home, Tu Diep couldn't stop dreaming of a fairy tale wedding, where she would wear a pure white dress and smile happily beside the one she loves. It wasn't just Diep's dream, but also a deep desire shared by many of us who yearn for a complete and sincere love. Though fragile, that dream gave strength to her tender heart, helping her move forward despite the uncertain road ahead. Meanwhile, for James, when it seemed that darkness had completely taken over, a glimmer of hope suddenly appeared. Clues surrounding Tu Diep's mysterious disappearance began to emerge. An anonymous phone call, an old photograph that fell from a forgotten book. These scattered pieces slowly started to come together, guided James closer to the truth, and closer to Diep than ever before. Though physically apart, their hearts have never stopped reaching out to one another. Whether it's silence or unresolved misunderstandings, each passing moment proves that the bond between James and Tu Diep has never truly been broken. Despite the trials of time, despite the distance that divides them, they continue to quietly move toward each other, like two small streams destined to meet in the vast ocean. Love sometimes doesn't need grand words. It lies in the unwavering commitment and trust in one another, and that's exactly what James is holding on to. A fierce belief that no matter how many storms he faces, he will find Tu Diep. Will James be able to stop the dark forces lurking around Diep in time? Will Diep stay true to her heart amidst temptation and hardship? All will be revealed in the upcoming episodes, filled with unexpected twists and powerful emotions. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any exciting developments in this heartfelt and dramatic love story. Thank you all for watching and supporting the series. Since Tu Diep's disappearance, not only was James's heart shattered, but his mother's health had also deteriorated significantly. She had always been frail, but upon hearing that there was still no trace of Tu Diep, the girl she loved like her own daughter, the emotional shock was too much for her to bear. The worry and sorrow smoldered inside her like a slow-burning flame, gradually wearing down her strength day by day. Although James was drowning in his own anxiety over Diep, he couldn't just sit back and watch his mother wither away. That very day, he urgently called for a well-regarded doctor from the provincial hospital, hoping to find some way to help her recover. As the doctor entered the room, James remained silently outside the door, eyes filled with apprehension, his face so tense it barely blinked. Back in the living room, James sat down on the couch, his body too exhausted to sit upright. He buried his head in his hands, shoulders trembling slightly, feeling as though the entire world was crumbling around him. Tu Diep, the woman he loved, was missing without a trace. And now his mother, the most important woman in his life, was battling illness under the same roof. Never before had James felt so powerless. After a while, the door creaked open. The doctor stepped out, his expression somber. James immediately stood up, almost lunging forward as though clinging to his last thread of hope. He asked hastily, "How is my mother doing, doctor?" The doctor looked at him, eyes firm but full of empathy. "Her condition is currently very weak. She must avoid any emotional stress or excessive worry." the most important thing right now is rest and complete peace of mind. If not, her condition may worsen." Those words felt like yet another blade slicing into James's already bleeding heart. He nodded slowly, trying to remain composed, but deep within his eyes was a silent storm of sorrow and helplessness that words could never fully express. That day, after finishing his usual shift, Officer Lee was on his way back to the station when his eyes suddenly stopped at a small bulletin board on the corner of the street. A flyer, hidden among many other announcements, caught his attention. The image on it made him freeze. Those eyes, that face, unmistakable. It was a girl he had rescued by the stream just a few days ago. He stepped closer, his heart skipping a beat. In that fleeting moment, blurry memories rushed back. The girl, when found, hadn't said a word. Her eyes filled with confusion and loneliness, as if carrying a silent wound deep inside. She never gave her name, and after receiving first aid, quietly disappeared. And now, here she was, the missing person someone was desperately searching for. Immediately, Officer Lee turned to his colleague walking beside him. "Do you remember the girl we rescued by the stream the other day? Look closely. Isn't this her?" His colleague examined the flyer and nodded without hesitation. "Yes, that's definitely her. I remember those eyes." Without delay, Officer Lee took out his phone and dialed the number printed on the flyer. After a few rings, a deep, weary voice answered. It was James. At that moment, James was sitting alone in a quiet room, where memories of Tu Diep kept replaying like an old film reel. He didn't know whether to cling to hope or give in to despair. Suddenly, his phone vibrated. An unfamiliar number. He hesitated for a moment, then answered. "Hello, this is Officer Lee. I'd like to ask you about the missing girl named Tu Diep." James's heart clenched. He shot upright, voice urgent. "Yes, that's her. Do you have news? Is she okay?" There was a short pause before Lee replied calmly, "We should talk in person. I'll be waiting at a nearby cafe, the old Fong Tra Cafe, corner of 5th Street." Without a second thought, James grabbed his coat and rushed out of the house, like a man seeing light again after days lost in darkness. At the familiar cafe, once a meeting spot for soldiers and peacekeepers, two men sat face to face. On one side was Officer Lee, calm and composed. On the other, James, worn and weary, but with a faint glimmer of hope in his eyes. Lee began to recount everything. He spoke of a patrol near the forest's edge, where he and his team had heard the sound of rushing water near a small stream. There, they found a girl lying motionless on the rocks, clothes soaked, eyes wide open yet empty. They brought her to the station, gave her first aid, and waited for her to wake. When she regained consciousness, she didn't say much, just that she had to leave and didn't want anyone to know her name. I assumed she was someone who had suffered an accident or was running from something, but after seeing this flyer, I knew I couldn't stay silent. James sat frozen, gripping his glass so tightly that his knuckles turned white. "So, where did she go? Do you have any clue?" Lee shook his head. "She left the station the next morning. We didn't stop her. We thought it was her wish. But now I realize maybe she needed to be found more than anything." James lowered his head, his thoughts a chaotic storm. He was overjoyed to have news of Diep, yet crushed knowing she had been so close, and he hadn't known. After a long pause, James looked up, voice firm. "Officer Lee, please help me find her. I know this might go beyond your normal duties, but I'm willing to cooperate in any way. Provide any information you need. If there's even a sliver of hope, I won't give up." Ly nodded, eyes resolute. "I'll help. I'll request a sweep of the surrounding area, check traffic cameras, speak with local residents. If she's still somewhere in my jurisdiction, we'll find her." And so, a new search began. This time, James was no longer wandering alone in the dark. He now had a companion in Officer Ly, someone with the resolve and bravery of a true protector. Because somewhere out there, Tu Diep was waiting to be found. And James, with a love unwavering and pure, would not stop until he held her hand once more. Will James ever see Tu Diep again, the woman he loves with all his heart? Will fate grant them a chance to reunite after so many days apart, while their hearts have never stopped aching with longing? Each tiny clue, each faint glimmer of hope is bringing James closer to the truth. Yet the path ahead remains shadowed and full of challenges. Their love, though torn by distance, time, and unspoken misunderstandings, continues to burn brightly with unwavering strength. James will not give up the search, not only with the determination of a man, but with the heart of someone who loves unconditionally. The story of James and Tu Diep is far from over. Their journey still holds many surprises, tears, and moments that will tug at your heartstrings. Stay tuned for the next dramatic and emotional developments. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you won't miss a single chapter in this heart-wrenching love story.
Kẻ đứng sau John, người đang thao túng mọi chuyện và gây ra những rắc rối hiểu lầm. Những câu hỏi này vẫn đang chờ lời giải thích, giải đáp, và mọi chuyện vẫn còn đang trong tình thế căng thẳng. James và gia đình anh phải đối trước một cuộc chiến cam go, nơi mà những kẻ thù ẩn mình trong những bóng tối sẵn sàng gây ra những hậu quả khôn lường. Tuy nhiên, James không phải là người dễ bị khuất phục. Với lòng dũng cảm và sự quyết tâm bảo vệ những người mình yêu thương, anh sẽ không dễ dàng bỏ cuộc. Cùng đón xem câu chuyện đầy kịch tính này, nơi những tình yêu được, những bí mật được hé lộ và từng chút một, và mọi thế lực tăm tối đang dần được vén màn. Mọi thứ sẽ đi đến đâu? Ai sẽ chiến thắng trong cuộc chiến này?